now. Just all the shit he said is true. But just because you can don't mean you should. And now I was telling that shit to Dr. Vasilio like 15 years later and showed him how I'd done it in 7 steps. And a few months later, I looked at it and realized I had really done too many. I could do it in 5. And then, about 3 years later, I got to looking at the hard side that had 2 cut off instead of 1, and realized I could do it in 3 fucking moves, 2 signs and a tangent. Yeah, that's fucking simple, you know. And then I said, well, what's the chances that the goddamn hard side's easier than the simple side, you know? And I looked back and realized I could do it 3 moves on either side. And then I showed Vasilio that. So, I'm just saying, yeah. If you ain't careful, you can overcomplicate stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're following the first fucking thought without looking at it, reviewing it, considering. There's no joke, son, as my old daddy used to say. There's no shame in making a mistake, son. The shame is in letting somebody else find it. You're supposed to look at it and review it and checking your work. You know.
One of our problems is we don't have any, like, direct management. The only management we have are the owners of the company.
Yeah.
So they get in there, and both of them, the CEO, the owner, and the president, they have conflicting opinions on everything.
Yeah.
So one of them gets in there and tells you, hey, add this, add this, add this, and the other guy's like, no. Draw a line in the sand, we don't need any of that. It needs to be dumb.
You're going to run into that, son, throughout your career. And more than generally, what you're going to find is they don't know their asshole from their elbow.
No, they don't. Either one of them.
That's what I'm saying. Your mama run into that shit over there where she was working. It took as long as she could. The first time she tried to leave, they gave her a raise. The second time she tried to leave, they made her a partner in the company and give her profit sharing, you know. And the third time she said, fuck it, I'm out, you know. There's some motherfuckers, you're going to have to do this by yourself. But, yeah. It's bizarre.
What?
I'm glad to come swooping down and flying. Wasn't quite sure what he was, but he was a very large bird. And the buzzard is the first suspect around here. They have a tendency nowadays to wanna, and another thing, son, goddammit, and you're gonna run into this. I was telling this story to a guy over there, those breathing machines that I've got. And I run into it on several situations. I was describing one of the situations to the guy that I was crying on, and he started laughing. And he said, well, the reason I'm laughing, he said, is because you're right, you know. He said, I used to work with the company that builds the machines that he's servicing.
Yeah.
And he left the company that he used to work with, and now he works with somebody that services him on a contract in the area, it's over in Atlanta, Precision Medical. And one of my machines had to be sent in for warranty work. And so, actually, 2 of them had to go in, and 1 of them had to go in twice. But anyway, right? Because you don't want to think that they just change things to be changing. You want to think if it ain't broke, they don't fix it. And if they're doing something to it, it's to make it better. You like to think that's the premise. If that was only the case. But I finally fucked around and figured out I could get the motherfucker off, and it looks just like the other two. And I could put one of the filters on it just like the other two, and I would have a lot more confidence in it, and you've been able to maintain it and service it. And this new motherfucker I'm looking at, trying to figure out how it's just better than that. You know. So I wasn't able to talk to the people at Phillips Restaurant when I was talking to the boy who does all the service and repair work. And I'm telling him, you know, they've changed it, it's a new design, I don't understand it. And then I'm telling him about when Robert Fowler got his computer, and I didn't realize how often they changed the software. So I'm trying to explain to him how to do and what to do. So I finally get over there with him one day with his shit and figure out that it's different than mine, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm having to learn his system, you know, and I'm telling him, well, I don't really like this, you know, but I'm sure they've improved it. I'm sure it's better. I'm sure once I get familiar with it, it'll grow on me. I'll cultivate a taste for it. It'll be all right, you know. Well, a few months later, I figured out I ain't never going to like this as much as mine. I don't know what the fuck's going on or why, you know. So I finally got in touch with the people that regulate mine pretty well and fucking that, you know. And I'm jacking him now about, look, what was the improvement? How is it better? Where's it, you know? Help me, because I told my buddy that, you know, I was sure that once I understood it better, I would realize what the benefit was and that I would appreciate it. You know, I said, but I've never come to figure out, I don't think I'm ever going to like it. You know, what am I missing? What don't I understand? You know, and it finally got down to the point that, well, it ain't better, it's just different. That's what I thought. You know, that's just what I thought, you know. Okay, motherfucker. But anyway, I'm laughing, telling the guy this shit, and he starts laughing. I said, but sometimes them goddamn boys in the design section just gotta earn their fucking money. You know, they just gotta draw that check, you know, they gotta do something to goddamn justify staying. You know, and he started laughing. And he said, well, I want you to know something. He said, you're right. He said, I used to work with Phillips Restaurant before I started working with these people. He said, and I've been in meetings, you know, where they were doing just like you're talking about. Everybody's throwing their shit out to see what sticks on the wall, you know.
What we do all the time.
Yeah, and he said, boy, it don't fucking, you know, it didn't take long. So I did it. The highway department, they do some hooking and crooking. I ain't going to get into all that. But sometimes they don't use what you would call the best judgment, you know. And I was finally laughing. My daddy always used to be, you're wrong and everybody else is right. And, you know, you got a bad attitude and a bad opinion. And, you know, you follow, you do good, keep your nose down. You know, everything come out, everything work out fine, you know. So, but you get a little older and you get grown, you figure out that ain't exactly so. You know, it's a good philosophy to live by, but it don't always work. And finally he admitted it, well, when he was a young engineer, said sometimes it was hard for him to understand when he spent hours and days ruling over the best way to master a problem and present it to him, and he finally figured out that ain't what they was looking for. That ain't what they wanted. Fucking they had a good idea about what they were doing. And they may not tell you, but see, like in some cases, they were working on a cost plus, so the more they spent, the more they made. So they wasn't always looking for the cheapest, easiest out, you know. And so there's a lot of things that go into the mix, and sometimes they'll let you in on them, sometimes it won't. And just because it don't make sense to you, it don't mean that it ain't in the plan. But as a young engineer, it's frustrating. Up in Birmingham, I had a guy, two Alabama graduates and an Auburn graduate, John Corn and Joe Battle. John Corn was Auburn graduate, Joe Battle was Alabama graduate. He went on into real estate sales, Joe went into mining engineering. But anyway, they were co-engineers on where the Interstate 65 used to drop off there in Shelby County. county roads down there. Couldn't fucking get it tied down for nothing. And finally, and I don't know why, because I didn't have no clairvoyance and no insight particularly, you know, it was on a spiral curve, which is kind of a bastard thing that is used and was used in the 50s and 60s. But it's not that prevalent now. But it's different from a simple curve. And it's a transitional approach to figure your way in and out of a curve. But anyway, I told John, I said, you know what? I said, I bet they run this motherfucker backwards. Well, he done it that way, and it tried like new goddamn money, you know. They said, I'll be good fuck, boy. So he's old full of that college joke shit, you know. He went back into the office and drawn up what they did, and then drawn up what needed to be done to make it right, you know, according to the original design. I rode with him over to the 3rd District in Birmingham, and sat in the truck while he went in with his little drawings and all this little shit rolled up, fucking thing that, you know, proud, you young engineers on the ball, sharp, fucking up, figured out, you know, got the problem solved, figured out, got the solution figured out. When he come walking back out with my head hung down, I knew right off, boy, something didn't go well, you know. So he got back in the truck, I said, fuck, I said, look, what they say? He said, well, they said this stuff had been signed off on 17 years ago. Unless I won't know what a can of shit, you know. The goddamn best thing to do is go out there and make it work, you know, and I would put all that shit away and go out there and handle it, you know. And, but anyway, that's what we did. It ain't always exactly what you think it ought to be. But it never hurts to figure out what's the best and what's the right, because at some point, the game may change and the players may change.
I just didn't realize how slow everything moved on anything.
Well, see, that's like the interstate work. I was shocked when we started building that motherfucker in like 72 or 73, when we got the original books. That motherfucker was laid out on the ground in 55 with the pins and spikes.
Yeah.
That's right. That's how long they've been threatening us with. It was on the wish list. But a lot of telephone work and a lot of other stuff is done on 25-year projectors. Now, you don't build for what's there now, you build for what's going to be there in the future. Because it's cheaper to build it now than it will be to do later. I listened to a man one time on the radio, son, for 30 fucking minutes, thinking he was talking about surveying and engineering and deeds and titles. And come to find out, it took me 30 minutes to figure out this nigga talking about fucking economics. This is a goddamn economics guy. I hate economics. Boy, I fuck, you know. He was a guy, and he is world renowned. He's written several books, and you can find him on YouTube and get it. Some hour long, 15-minute long, 2-hour long deals. But he was the kind of guy that I would probably listen to talk about anything. I mean, he was just that charismatic. But I had been surveying and doing engineering work as long as I can remember. So, like I say, 30 minutes into it, I realized he had set the foundation for the economics course. He was from some bullshit place in Central America, South America, Central America, I think. Hernandez, DeSoto Hernandez.